welcome back to another episode of Creators Anonymous, guys, where we interview everyone from behind the cameras, behind the mixers, and just in the industry all together. And today we are joined by Jayson Johnson, a filmmaker, creator of his own studios, Strike Five Films, a director, camera operator, producer. He's a man that wears many hats and has what it seems done everything within the scope of the film industry. Jayson, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course, I'm glad that you're on the show, and I'm happy to have you as well. I wanted to go ahead and dive into your life because it seems that you've had a pretty eventful, career, and it seems that it's a very productive career as well. So on this show, we love to push the point that there isn't one set cookie cutter path for anyone trying to get into the industry. Some paths work for some that might not work for others, right? So I love to go ahead and explore those paths. I do see that you have a what seems a master's from Eastern Illinois University for film production, correct?
It's actually for corporate communication.
Mhm.
And, you know, as we talk, you're going to find out that a lot of my path was just, there was no rhyme or reason to it. You know, for example, when I went to grad school, the only reason I went to grad school was because everyone else was doing it. And I remember going to my dean of the college at the time, and I said, "Hey, I want to go to grad school." And he straight up laughed at me. He was just like, "You'll never get into grad school." And I was just like, "Okay, well, what do I got to do to get in?" And he said, I had to get straight A's to get in. So, so that's what I did for the last, I don't know, year and a half of, my undergrad studies. But otherwise, I was just a kid that, went and partied, drank, and did all that other stuff, and was destined to graduate by the skin of my pants with a C. But, just, other things happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, and well, it all worked out for you, what it seems. And some people that I know that are in the industry, they don't even go and seek higher education and they just really pursue their dream all out. Other people, they go and they pursue higher education, and there's nothing wrong with education or not having the education. I feel like it's like the passion for it. And could you tell me about that? Like, were you always passionate about film growing up, or is it something that as you got older, you were like, well, I'm kind of interested in that?
I think uh, I think I was always interested in film. I remember, dating back to as a kid, you watch Sunday cartoons, you'd watch, movies with your parents, and it was just something that just seemed so magical. But it's just like, how the hell do you get into this world? It just seems like it's self-contained within this screen, and I don't know anyone that is in the film industry. So I kind of had that thought going up through college, just never thinking that that could happen for me. But in college, I got the chance to act in a movie called Empire of Danger, where like women ruled Mars and all the men were subordinates and drank wine and cursed and pretty much cavemen. But I loved it. I loved it, and it was just like this seems like what I had seen on TV, and maybe just maybe it's a little bit approachable. So that was
Yeah,
kind of the start.
nice. Like, yeah, it's very daunting, right? Like when you see, oh, I don't know anyone in the industry. Where do I even start? Like, what steps do I have to take? It feels like it's going to take forever to get in. But yeah, no, the most important part is just doing it and starting. And I didn't know that you had on-screen experience, right? Because from everything that I've seen, you're really behind the scenes. Do you have any more on-screen experience other than Empire Danger?
Yeah, so I'm actually in a lot of like movies for like a clip of a second. So like I'm in this movie called La Mission. I'm in this movie called Sorry to Bother You. I'm in this short film called The Blue Rose. I actually wanted to be an actor before, becoming a film director. The only reason I became a film director was out of necessity to get attached to projects. A lot of people don't know this, but I would go to these casting calls and then they would say, you, not you, Jayson. And then, go down the line and pick everybody else. And I was like, fuck, it was just like, well, why not me? And so I got pissed after a couple of times of that. So I'm just like, I'm gonna make my own movies. I'm gonna cast myself in them, blah blah blah. And then as time went on, I was just like, I'm kind of over myself. So let's just make the movies and then let's hire other people. But yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, like the Rocky effect, like Sylvester Stallone was like, well, I want to play him. And he
Yeah,
wouldn't sell the script until someone agreed that he could be the main role.
yeah.
So yeah, you make it for yourself, and that's how you end up in it. And no, that's amazing. I did watch some of your films.
Okay,
And
cool.
what is Thought the latest one you have out?
Yeah, Thought is the last one that I did. God, that's almost 3 years now, and we've been working towards doing a feature. So, but yeah, that was the last one.
That was the last one. I really enjoyed it. I gotta say, I do love the kind of like the social narrative behind it. I thought it was, nicely placed. It wasn't too upfront. Um, and it really left you thinking. I like the open ending to it, like the open-ended ending where,
Okay.
they go off together, and
Hmm.
I just felt like it left me with like a really nice feeling. Uh, was that all you? Were you a solo writer in that? Was that like a project that stemmed from you, or was it a team?
That was actually a team effect. Is like I have a good friend, Kareem Gedra, that worked at a barber shop, and he's kind of privy to like all these discussions in a barber shop. Is it Stacy with one kid or Stacy with three kids? So he has a lot of experience with that. So he told me about this idea, and then we recruited another writer to kind of put a feminine touch to it, like a woman's perspective, and then we just wrote it. So yeah, it was a collaborative effort, which is something that I try to do moving forward because you know I probably spent about 6 or 7 years just doing projects on my own. And while I feel like they came out good, I always like working with a team better.
Yeah, I've honestly felt that working with a team, you're able to bounce ideas around a little better. Uh, Sometimes I'll get like extreme writer's block if I'm writing, and having someone around where I can tell them this idea that I have and I don't know where to go with it, and then they give their point of view. I have found that, like, it kind of gets the creative juices flowing again. You know,
Totally.
uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did see that you early on in your career worked for Francis Coppola, correct?
Hmm.
How was that? Give me a little rundown of that. Was he
That
an easy
was
person to work with?
yeah. No, actually he was not an easy person, but before I start, I want to, pay my condolences. His wife just passed away just 2 days ago, and she was just a fantastic person. So, I just wanted to, pay all respect to her. But yeah, I feel like most creative people that you work with, for whatever reason, just they're not going to be easy people to work with. And it's just and there's going to be good days and good experiences, bad experiences. But Francis Coppola was kind of uh, he was someone that really challenged you in good and bad ways, because like there'd be times where he'd be like, this isn't going right, and blah blah blah, and it's all your fault, Jayson. And I'm just like, me, I'm just a peon, and then he'd get in his Austin Martin and drive away while I'm like in a Toyota Corolla, barely making it. So those are moments just like, oh, f you, dude. But then there are moments where he would like really lift you up and make you feel like it's possible. Like I remember he asked me. you want to be famous, don't you? And I didn't even know how to answer the question. You know, it's just like Godfather's asking me this. Does he see something in me? It's just like, oh my God, like one of those moments. So, I had I would just say I had a full experience working for him. There were some aspects that were great, some aspects not so great, but I really respect the man.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I really feel with the whole gets in his Aston Martin, like I'm gonna go catch a bus. I'll see you later.
Yeah, yeah, it was just like, yeah.
Yeah, no. Is there any like kind of like moment working with him that kind of stands out that kind of resonated with you throughout your career? Like something maybe you might have picked up on set that kind of shaped in you and the way you do things?
Yeah, I'd say with him, it's always bring your A game to every single meeting, to everything you do. Even if you're just writing like something on a post-it, make it your best. And that's something that at the time I didn't quite understand, but now I completely do because when you take the effort to do your best in every step of the way, then that's just going to radiate into everything. So, his big thing was quality, quality, quality. I can't stress that enough. Don't do anything half-assed, bring it all the time. And that can be exhausting when you think about it, giving your best all the time because, us as humans, we just want to do good and then kind of coast on that. But he was always pushing to, for us to be great. So I I find that whenever I'm doing a project or try to do anything, I want to try to always reach that pinnacle of the best that I can be.
Yeah, no. And it does sound exhausting where you always have to be on your A game, but I think that's where the success lies. Yeah, it's tough to be in an industry where having an off day is just so detrimental. You know,
Mhm.
you produce something that isn't your best, and then you're judged on that. So yeah, I can fully agree that like being on your A game, I'm gonna take away from. I didn't even work with him, but now vicariously, I'm gonna take that lesson. You know, always be on your A game, always be prepared. Yeah. But I can say that it sounds like it was an interesting time working with him. Such a big name. Uh, have you ever been around a certain person that has left you completely like starstruck? Because I can honestly say that for myself, I was never starstruck by anyone I've ever met until one day, and I thought I would never be the person to be starstruck until the one day I was like in an elevator, and then like Conan O'Brien walked in, and when I
Wow.
was around Conan O'Brien, I was like left speechless. Also, I'm 5'2". He's like 6'4". The guy is like a lot taller than I thought. Like I felt
Yeah,
very, very short next to
yeah.
him. Did anyone ever leave you speechless or starstruck in your career?
Yeah, yeah, all the time. And it's usually women. I don't know why. But I remember I went to Sundance and for the first time, we went to Oprah Winfrey's party. And we got there early, and across the way, Susan Sarandon was there. And and I was just like, oh my God, I watched all her movies and blah, blah, blah. And like I said to myself, I'm gonna talk to her. I don't know what I'm going to say to her, but I'm kind of pining back and forth how I'm going to strike up this conversation. So finally, I like made this embarrassing move that like I worked for the party and I was giving her like a gift bag, and so that was my excuse to go over there. So I was just like, Mr. Brandon, on behalf of this party, we give you this gift bag and blah blah. And it was just like looking back, it was so embarrassing. But then but like part of me felt good because I did it. It's just like I didn't just see her from across the way. So I made up some phony ass excuse to talk to her, and I did. But I wish it would have been more genuine though. So, but
Hey, well,
uh,
the point is you put yourself out there. You did it.
yeah, yeah,
You know, you
yeah.
you did. That's something to be proud of. Sometimes you'll pine for so long and like you'll plan it out, and then before you know it, like, oh yeah, she's leaving actually, because
Yeah,
you've waited for far too long.
yeah.
No, that's hilarious. That's great. Hey, I applaud you. You put yourself out there. You spoke to her at least,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
made that
yeah.
connection. But yeah, no. But yeah, that was the only time that I was left speechless as well. And but uh Jason, I see that you wear tons of hats, like I said before. It looks like you've done just about everything. Is there a preference? Like for me, I used to be a pizza maker, right?
Mhm.
Before I ever got into doing anything part of this industry. Right now I'm working in live events, but I used to be a pizza maker, and for a while I thought I was gonna be a pizza maker my whole life. And then I realized I hated the food industry and I wanted out. So, but sometimes
Same.
every once in a while, I'll think back and I'm like, wow, I kind of miss making food or working in a kitchen collaboratively with like other people. Is there anything that you've done in your history that you kind of you're fond of or feels nostalgic?
A lot of people don't know this, but I actually went to culinary school and I graduated to be a chef. And then I did an externship at this French bistro where, they'd make steaks and, French food. And by the end of it, I hated it. I was just like, this is awful. It's just like I'm working, all my friends are off. When they're off, I'm on. I'm working with all these miserable chefs that are smoking in the back and but after a while you start to take on those habits. So now, I'm smoking and everyone, all the kitchen staff, they kind of all hook up with each other and there's like this all, kitchen drama, and then you try someone's food and it's like, I can do better, and it's just like all that stuff. So I may be preaching to the choir. You may have had that with your pizza experiences, but that's something that you know 99% of the time I don't miss it. I'm just like, that was, forget that. But then there's that 1% of the time where there's like this camaraderie with the staff that you have, and then you're all under pressure. You're all in this hot, sweaty kitchen. You're all trying to make this food as perfectly as you can. Um, and that I do miss that, because that togetherness, that is something that I think everyone would really like, because they all have a goal in common. That's to be the best they can be and to serve the guests and everything. So I guess that's why I gravitate towards film, because film crews are a lot like that, in my opinion.
No, 100%. Yeah. Uh, and I get you. Working in a kitchen is like its own weird little dramatic ecosystem. It's hot, you're next to like these 500-degree ovens, you're over these open like flames, you're sweating, people are yelling, like it's all a mess. But
Yeah,
every time I go and like I'll go pick up a pizza, and I'm like, man, I kind of miss it. And then I walk out again to the car and I'm like, oh, what am I talking about? It was terrible. It was like I would
yeah,
never go back. But when I'm in
yeah.
there, it feels a little different. But then when reality hits, it's a complete shift.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I should even say this, but whatever. I'm just gonna say it. I remember I was on the grill cooking these steaks, and the chef is yelling at me, "Get these steaks!" Blah blah blah. And it was just like I was all under pressure, and I'm just like, I'm hating this night. But then at the end of the night, the salad girl who liked me, she was just like, "I really like the way that you was manning those steaks." And for whatever reason, that was just like, oh man, I feel good about myself now. It's just like, so yeah, that's like one of those few and far between moments. But yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a moment that like sticks with you forever, huh? Like every
Yeah,
once in a
I'll
while
never
it'll
get
pop
that.
into your head. You're like, I wonder how she's doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, uh, in university, I'm gonna take it back to when you were in Eastern Illinois University, because we start like you informed me about your education in the culinary arts, right?
Mhm.
So you went to school for that. Uh, did not like it at the very end. By the way, and I completely understand with like I like to cook and I like food compared to I like to work in a restaurant. Like it's completely different. When someone's like, "Yeah, I'm a home cook and I like to cook. Yeah, maybe I could be a chef one day." It's like it's a different world. It's not
Yeah.
the same. It's not the
No, you
same.
don't want
Yeah, you don't
that.
want that. Um, so you left that and then you pursued communications, or were you doing
Mhm.
it kind of around the same time, or how did that work?
So this is so reckless, and this is to the listeners. If I can do it, then you can do it because this is so reckless. This is probably going to blow a lot of people's mind. But when I went to, I knew that I didn't want to be in the food industry. I had a AA degree, so I could transfer to a 4-year school, and I did what was kind of like the Goldilocks method. There was 3 schools that were near my house. One was really close and one was really far and one was kind of medium far, and the one that was furthest away was like this huge party school, and it was just like there's no way I'll ever graduate here. And the one closest to my house was not really a party school, and I was just like, I'm going to get bored here. But the one that was kind of medium distance was just right. It had a good party scene, and I figured that I might be able to graduate. So when I finally went there, and they had kind of like this, you kind of like have this big hall of college administrators, and then from them you'll pick your college that you'll ultimately pick your major. So I go into this big ballroom. All these guys and women have like business suits on and ties, and I'm like, I don't want to do any of that. And then I see this guy with a red bow tie on. And then I said, I don't know what you teach, mister, but sign me up. I'm going to do it. And it happened to be speech communication. So that's like the most reckless way that you could ever choose a major, but that's exactly what I did.
Well, and it worked
And
out. You know
I guess it worked out. Yeah.
what a crazy life. That is the most
Yeah.
absurd way I've heard of choosing a major.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm happy for you. It worked out. That guy's red bow tie really sold it. Like it did the work. It sold it. But see, that's a wonderful point towards the message of the podcast in general. Like y- you took that path. That path shouldn't have been a path in the first place. You made your own path through like the grass, and you made your own
Yeah.
way. And with people, I really like to push the fact that like it's just about starting or taking the first step or going towards something you enjoy, and everything in the world set you up to be in that spot at that time making that decision, you know.
Mhm.
And a lot of people just kind of have to have maybe some faith in themselves or maybe a little reckless abandonment in just making a rash decision, because not every decision has to be cookie cutter and like with the fine lines and signing on the printed line and everything like that. So that by the way, that's an amazing story. And mine
Yeah.
was a little less. Mine was like, oh, I like cameras. Well, first of all, I was a computer science major, and I took my first semester. I did very well, and I realized that I did not want to do that for the rest of my life. I was like,
Mhm.
I don't like this. I think I've mixed up liking playing on computers and being on a computer with working on computers. And I went to my administrator and I was like, hey, I got to get out of this major. I want to do film. And she's like, oh, it's such a saturated industry. And I was like, that just means I have to work harder than everyone else. Like, just put me in film. I'll work as hard as I can. And that's how I ended up with my film degree. But I used to like messing around with cameras, make little home movies, or uh, just record friends on a night out.
That's
But
cool.
then it evolved into something a little more. And thank God it did, because I can't see myself working a 9 to 5 coding all day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. I'm the same way, it's just you start making stuff. The first thing that I did was I needed to learn how to make films because my concentration wasn't technically a film school. It had some aspects of radio, TV, and film, but for the most part, I learned on the way. So I started what was called the Jayson Johnson Show. It was like a really dumb sketch variety show that, starred me. And, I would do things like I would like learn how to duplicate myself. So then I would have an argument of, a husband comes home after going to the seafood buffet, all you can eat buffet, and arguing with his wife, and I'd be dressed up as both characters and silly stuff like that. But anyway, as I went on, I started learning editing, compositing, directing, uh, blocking, all these things that are really important to, directing movies. And so that's, to the listeners, you don't have to have a degree. You don't have to have this grandiose idea. You just have to start. And from there, you'll get better, but just you have to trust your process.
I couldn't have said it better myself. You learned on the way, you learned by doing. And I think that's the best way to learn. You can read as many books and theoretically know a process, but to learn hands-on is the most important thing, because repetition is gonna help you the most, and doing something in the moment is gonna help you even more, because I've read a lot of books,
Mhm.
and I've read on, how to fly a helicopter, but there's no way you're gonna put me in a helicopter and go like Michael's gonna fly it fine. You know,
Mhm.
I don't trust myself for that. But Jason, so I see that you've worked with some large companies, right?
Mhm.
Discovery, ABC, Amazon, Netflix, to name a few. And is there a difference in, probably like etiquette or just common courtesy that some of these companies have over others? Have you found that some companies are easier to work with compared to others?
I'd say so. Yeah. Like for example, I first started producing. I produced a Bollywood film, and I knew nothing about producing. But I lied in the interview and said, "Yeah, I know blah blah blah," because I at this point I had kind of done my first couple seasons of the Jayson Johnson show, and in my mind that was considered producing. So I went on this job and I lied and said I knew how to produce, and not knowing anything about producing, I would yell at people. I'd say, "Get out here and do this." And then while they were scrambling, I would like look on YouTube. It was like, "Oh, this is actually what a producer does." So learning on the job, and then I became more refined. So by the time I went to work at Indigo Films, I knew that producing didn't entail just yelling at people and commanding them what to do, but having an actual plan and motivating people. And then when I moved on from Indigo to, work for like, larger companies like, Facebook and all those other endeavors, then you have a more collective, reserved understanding of the producing models, what they're looking for, and then just kind of how to hold yourself as far as, what your collaborators are. So I definitely say so. And, you just kind of learn as you go again. That's at least that's what I've been doing.
Well, so you've done a lot, right? And I can, I think, wholeheartedly say that you have a lot of experience within this industry at this point. Do you still get nervous on set? Like before a big project, do the nerves hit, or are you just like, it's just another day at the office?
All the time, yeah, because um, you want to do your best job, and I'm the type of person where I'll say something, just in the moment, and I'm like, oh yeah, that totally works, and then I'll go back later and think about it, so I'm always second guessing myself, not necessarily in creative, but just in my communication, did that come across the right way, and is this person happy, etc. So yeah, I think so. I think anyone would, if they really care about it, they have the jitters. They want to make sure that they nail it. They want to make sure that they talk to people in the right way, and just everything is more or less copacetic on the film set.
Hmm. And and like the multi multitasking aspect of it? Like, is there, because when you're running a set or you're even producing, you're multitasking beyond belief. You're running 10 different things at the same time. Does the stress sometimes get too much? You gotta step away for a second, catch a breath.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think so because on a lot of my projects, I've written, directed, produced, and then beyond that, I'll do like the post-production supervision. So that's a lot for one person, especially when you're directing and producing at the same time, because you're kind of partitioning yourself in half, and you're kind of like trying to be creative, trying to work with the actors, and then the second side, you're trying to worry about, are we on time, where we're going to eat, is this, all these other things. So I'm trying to get rid of that more as I direct. And, hopefully when I direct my feature film, I'll just be just directing. But yeah, that can be really difficult. Luckily for me, I've done it for a long time. So I'm able to kind of, you know, easily partition myself. But, that's even something I'm looking to kind of hand off to someone that's really capable.
No, I can imagine. Yeah. It seems like a lot. And but does that mean that your like let's say your work life and work home balance is that just like tossed out the window? Is there no balance?
Oh yeah, it's terrible. It's just like truth be told, I just broke up with my girlfriend. And I'm just like, oh no. So it's just like, so now it's like 100% back into the film industry, because it's just like, if you're going to be successful in this industry, you really have to get to a point where you embrace the unbalanced life. It's just like, either you're going to have this puppy dog and ice cream life where you come home, you kiss the wife or your girlfriend, and then the film suffers, or you're going to actually go for the film, and then get that to the point where it can create the life that you want, the model life that you want, the cars that you want, etc. But yeah, it has to be unbalanced for a while. There's no way you can really keep it balanced, because this is not a normal industry.
No. Yeah, no, it's far from normal. I had a guest on for the first episode of this season, and he actually went to Full Sail, right? And he said that his schedule was so hectic because he would have a morning class, then nothing during the day, and another class at 9 at night, right? And then it would switch around constantly. And
Mm-hmm.
it was all to get them prepared for how chaotic the industry is. It was all like, hey, sometimes you're doing overnight shoots. Oh, that didn't like things didn't come out well on the shoot. Well, guess what? You got to just redo it again. And now it's like 8 in the morning and no one slept, everyone's hungry. And so
Mm-hmm.
it
Yeah.
is extremely chaotic of an industry. But I know some people that they are like, oh yeah, when I get out offset, I turn off my phone and I don't answer anyone. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, how can you get through with not like constantly wondering, are they contacting me? Do I need to do something? And I think it's a blessing and a curse to work in the film industry and in any of the creative industries where you're on sets or doing live events, because it'll consume your life. Like
Yeah.
it does really consume your life.
Yeah, and I always tell people that the film industry, you don't choose it; it chooses you. So it's just like, it's kind of like this undertaking where it's just like, I want to do it, but when you look at like the pros and the cons, it's like, oh my God, I have no life. It's just like, this has gone bad, this has gone bad, but I love this film thing. Then at that point, you know that it's chosen you. You didn't choose it, because we would choose, oh, I want a 9 to 5. I want things to be, steady. I want things that, but that's not what the film industry is. So
No,
it
no.
probably chose you. Yeah.
Jason, you mentioned that when you shoot your feature film, you want to just direct. Does that mean there's a feature on the way? Are you in works on something?
Yeah, so I don't know how this is going to come to fruition, but this has been like my whole life. I don't know how any of it's going to work out, but I know it's going to. So I wrote three films at three different cost points, and I feel that some way, somehow, it's going to come to fruition. And I actually set the date that we would start filming on April 15th, tax day. I put that on my calendar like maybe a year ago. Start filming today. Uh, we don't even have any money. I don't know how it's going to work out, but some way, somehow, this is going to work out because it's never failed me in my life whenever I do stuff like this. But yeah, so I have three projects that I've written, and I'm hoping to make one of them.
That's awesome. No, I'm excited to hear that. Like it sounds like a very big endeavor and like for me it sounds stressful because you it sounds like you've gotten like into that rhythm of I don't know how it's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen. Right. For me, it's like that would keep me up at night. My mind runs at like 1,000 miles an hour and I would be trying to look at every single option that I have to get funding on that film.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know it's going to happen because when I'm a Christian, and I'll say whenever God starts to take things out of your life, then I think that means that you're getting ready to get positioned to do something. So I had like all these people in my life that like were they weren't bad people, but kind of weighing me down. And then finally, I had this relationship which was somewhat toxic, and but I really wanted to hold on to it and for it to work. And then all of a sudden, that's gone. And now I have, I only have the films. I only have the films and the aspirations to move forward. And coincidentally, that's when all these podcasts started contacting me. Yo, can you be on? Can you be on? Can you be on? And before, I'd send out inquiries, and no one would write back. So yeah, I think it's going to happen because that's kind of how it has worked for me in the past. And just when you're empty and you have really nowhere else to go, then that way is presented for you. So I'm just going to embrace it. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I think it's going to be a wild ride.
That's all you can really do, right? Embrace it. It seems like it's ramping up for you. Things are, like you said, are being positioned. Uh, and when you take off, you're gonna take off. I have no doubt that one of your projects is gonna be coming out, sometime soon.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have three of them, and I think they're all pretty great, and they're all different and unique in their own way. And I like to say that it's not. I don't think they're anything that you've really heard of. Like, I think if I were to tell you about the project, I don't think you'd be like, oh yeah, I heard that like 3 years ago. So yeah, I think original ideas.
No, that's great. No, because we have too many things that are being like rehashed within like films, so many remakes or you know like updated series and things like that it nothing feels like original anymore.
Yeah.
And I think the world's craving some originality. Like, yes, you can get away for so long with like exploiting people's nostalgia towards like old video games and old shows and old movies, but I think people are really craving something original to come out.
hmm Yeah, because it's just like Hollywood these days are just like, let's do the Terminator, but this time he's black. Or let's do Iron Man, but this time he's Mexican and it's called Blue Beetle. And it's just like, it's just like what's the point? It's just like so yeah, Hollywood these days, to me, they need an overhaul. They need to kick all of these old producers out. They need to let the young blood in because the crap that they're putting out is just not good. And I might get blackballed for that. But I don't care. I don't care because I'm a film. lover. You know, I'm a film someone that loves to go to the cinema, loves to see original ideas. I don't want to see the rehash stuff. I don't want to see, you know, I remember seeing this memes that says take an 80s show, but make everybody gay, collect $1 million from Netflix. And it was true. It was true. That's pretty much every show these days. So yeah, I don't want to see the cookie cutter stuff. Let's get back to original ideas and let's instead of rehashing old IPs, let's make new IPs.
Yeah, that's what I think people are craving now. Like they're craving for something original to get their brain working again, seeing some new ideas because you can take any show out right now and they'll just keep flipping it until they bleed it dry.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, they'll keep going with it until they can't make any more money off of it. And I think that's such a bad habit because people end up getting tired of these things and like you're just bleeding it dry. Like there's no like leaving a good like memory of it. There's so few shows that actually have an ending nowadays. It's always like, oh, it got canceled after like the sixth season. There's like no actual ending and no like wrapping everything up. And I think it's just kind of tiring at this point.
Yeah, I totally agree. I will say that, film has to innovate somehow. I don't know how they're going to do it because you're really battling with someone's urge to pull out their phone and start texting someone or whatever. So to get someone to sit down and be captivated for an hour and a half or 2 hours, that's going to be hard. But I think it's possible, so there's always innovation and room for improvement. So we just have to figure out ways to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And Jason, I always like to ask, with like dealing with adversity, I always like to ask people like, has there ever been a point where you felt like things were too stressful or it was too much or you weren't seeing the type of success that you wanted, so you thought about maybe giving up or doing something else? Was there ever a point in your life where you felt like it was just too much?
Yeah, I think what was that last week? Yeah, because it's interesting. It's like nobody cares until they do. So it's just like you have this great show, and then you post it out to your networks, and then you may get like I don't know what your network is like, but let's just say you get a few likes, but let's counter that and let's say, oh my God, let's say you say, oh my God, I got this new job at Universal Studios. You get like a thousand likes. People like, oh my God, clapping emojis and stuff like that. But the second that you set out and you do your own thing, and you say that I'm making this project or this podcast just released, or I'm making headways, one like, two likes, maybe a comment here or there. So it's really frustrating because you want that adoration from people that you grew up with or know, but you don't get it, and then that just really means that you are on this journey alone and you have to make it happen. You have to keep up the motivation, the discipline, and just the grit to keep it going. And that can be difficult. So yeah, there's times where I'm just like, nobody cares. Nobody watches this. Nobody is even thinking about me. Why should I even do it? And those are the moments where you start to entertain those ideas that I should just quit. But then you have to be disciplined in mind why you got yourself in this in the first place, and then and seek it through because it's almost like nobody cares until they do, and then when they do care is when they see you with someone famous or something like that, and then all of a sudden they come out, and then they want to just track you down. It's almost like when OJ was being chased by all those cop cars, and then everyone else is your fans. That's what it's like. So that's
No,
what it is.
yeah. Sticking it through, keeping your head up. There's too many films and too many projects out there that are stuck in like film limbo, right? Where it's like
Mhm.
when you you start a project or you finish the project, but you never put it out because you're like, who's gonna even watch it? It's like just put it out. Just finish it. There's gonna be someone out there, like even if it's like that one weird guy is like, I love this, and like
Yeah,
you have one more fan. So yeah, sticking it through, keeping your head up, and just persevering. But yeah, I think we've all been in that situation where you got a little bit of that imposter syndrome. It's like maybe my stuff isn't that good, or we've all been there where it's like the stress is just too much and this is like eating away at me. But that's all that doubt. You got to push that. You got to push that aside because you're never going to grow if you just keep letting that doubt hit you and rain down on you.
absolutely. Yeah, it's just you know, everyone has a purpose in this life, and if film is your purpose and this is what you love, then yeah, you have to push through and seek it to the end. My film company, Strike Five, is just it's paying a homage to, they say you have three strikes in life and then you're out. Well, strike five means, well, we're going to keep swinging until we get our opportunity. So that's, strike five. And we have the tally marks, which we may have to change because the undefeated shoe brand may be suing us. So I may have to come up with a new logo. So, but yeah, it's just, you got to keep going. It's just like, um, I have no money. Keep going. My girlfriend broke up with me. Keep going. You know, uh, the actors walked out. Well, you be the actor. Keep going. So it's just have that mindset that nothing is going to stop you, and then you will be successful because you only lose when you quit. That's the only time you lose in life is when you quit.
Fully agreed. You heard it here first, folks. Keep going, keep swinging. I love the meaning behind the name. Now that you like let me know what it truly means, the Strike Five Films. I think that's great. I saw your logo. I liked it. I liked the logo. Sad to hear that it might be
Yeah,
on its way out.
yeah. I'm gonna have to change it because undefeated brand. They just are not playing ball. It's just like
What a shame.
yeah.
What a
So
shame. But
yeah,
I love that. Jason, so other than the feature film that is going to get made, what else are you working on right now? Anything that you can divulge?
yeah, yeah. So we have the three films that we're trying to push to get made. I also have merchandise on my website that is up for sale. We have Strike Five hats. Get them while you can before the logo has to change. We have shirts. We have beanies, stickers, pins. We have a lot of swag on the website. So that and just uh, outside of that, just continuing to get better every day, baby. Just trying to, make strides wherever we can, and just trying to be the best filmmaker that we can be.
Love that. Love that. And I am already thinking about purchasing a hat. I like the way the logo looks. I like the hat, and I'm a big supporter, you know, of different companies that try to self promote and gain revenue through merchandise. Because I love wearing merchandise where it's like someone's like, "Oh, what's that? I don't know that brand." It's like, yeah, you wouldn't, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you will.
But you will. Yeah. When you
Yeah,
start seeing them around, just remember who had the hat first.
yeah.
But I love that. Uh, so Jason, I'm, I'm really glad you came on and that we were able to have this conversation. I think we made some very interesting points. I got to learn a little bit about you, and I think that's awesome. Uh, Guys, I am going to be linking all of Strike Five Films and Jason's socials below in the description section. I am going to be dropping the names of his films as well that are out that you can see the short films. A lot of interesting work there. I went through a bit of a marathon on that.
Oh,
So,
great. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you so much. Yeah.
of course, of course. I love the work. And so I'm gonna go ahead and link those below as well. And Jason, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful day. And guys, thank you for tuning in and peace out.